Hello everyone. Today I want to talk about numerology, one of my favorite subjects to talk about. Numerology is a science. Pythagoras brought it out. You can do all of your own research on that, but I want to talk about the way that I do charts, and not that I found the right way to do it, because I have a lot of mentors. I have so many books, so many people that have studied this before me, and I really, really honor the fact that people continue to study the system and bring your own flair to it. And that was something I loved about all the books I read on this subject, is everybody kind of had a different flair, and that makes it more interesting, a system that's growing and learning and things like that. So, changing. Here's my example when I do a chart for someone and what I look at. And I just want to show you, we're going to use a fictitious example of Jane Doe. So here is Jane Doe's numbers, and of course every letter has a number vibration to it. And so Jane, her first name is 1155, that's the numbers, and Anne is 155, and Doe is 465. One of the things that I notice here is the fives. She's got a 1155 and a 155. So I would pay attention to that. I would say, okay, this is interesting. We have a pattern here of 1155. And then, of course, Doe is 465. We have another 5. She has a 5 in all 3 of her names. 5s are about freedom and adventure and change. So just in looking at the vibration of the numbers of her name, I now know a little bit about her story, about her vibration. Of course, she can handle that vibration positively or negatively, and it'll also depend on her date of birth. That gives another twist to it. And the date of birth is a huge influence. So she was born 4/2 of 1960, and 1960 comes out to a 6/7. And so when you add up all of the numbers of the birth, it gives you your lifetime. That's your life path. And so that's over a lifetime. So I call that diluted. You know, it's diluted, like you add more water to dilute something. So that you have your whole lifetime to achieve. What I hone in on is usually the day, which is the second. And if it's 2 numbers, you break it down to 1. So she has a 2 vibration, which is very interesting, because that would be in conflict with a 5, really. 5s just love to be out there. They're wild, crazy. And then you have peaceful, meditating 2. That just seeks balance. So right away, she has, which we all do. We all have little conflicts in the numbers of our name. This isn't like a red flag or anything like that. This isn't bad. This is just all interesting it makes for a more interesting life experience. And so for Jane Doe, when you add up all of the names, that also, when you add up her first and her middle and her last, there are some theories that you do the maiden name, because you're born with that, and that's the name that's going to really vibrate with you forever. And then when a woman changes her name, it does have an influence, because you're changing your name, but you've spent all the way up until you were married with that other name, so that continues to vibrate. So I look at the maiden name more than the married name, although I will look at the married name to see what kind of twists and turns. But people can have multiple marriages, and some women don't keep or don't take their new name. That's kind of one of the ways that I look at the chart. And then for her, when we look at what kind of year she's having, we're into 2015 now. Today is New Year's Day of 2015. And so how you calculate her year is you would add her month 4 with her day 2 and with the 2015. And that comes out to be a 5-year. And so for most people, a 5-year can be kind of challenging, because everything is changing. You can achieve great things in a 5-year, but you can also have rapid things happening for change. She will thrive in a 5-year because of all the 5s vibrating in her name. However, the 2 of her date of birth will want to seek out some peace and downtime. So when you think about that, this is a beautiful balance, because of all that 5 energy in a year, she will have a number that will hold her down and anchor her. So this is why when I'm doing numerology, and I just don't cut and paste, oh, you're in an 8-year, and just cut and paste a sentence, because you have to look at the name and the date of birth and put that story together. And everybody's story is different. There's different names and birth combinations. So you can't just like the charts where it just runs on a computer program. I'm not going to say anything negative about those, but I hand type my charts because I analyze. I use the thinking and look at all this whole picture and say, wow, what is this person's story during this particular vibration? So that's just how I look at numerology. I think it's a fun system. It's science. You can study it yourself, and I think if you go down that path, it's an exciting path, and you can grab onto the numbers and do whatever you want with them. So I hope that you have a wonderful 2015 year ahead of you.